this gap between where you are now and where you're going, and that liminal stage of where everything just has to become mush, that the strategies aren't working, that you're in between, you have to allow it to come from within. And it's one of the most vulnerable and also powerful things because we actually have to surrender the control.
Dear Miss Craft, this is a transmission from the seventh dimension. I'm Camille Craft, and about 3.5 years ago, I made a decision to use the eclipse portals to quantum leap. I'm going to show you on this podcast how to specifically create revenue, money, impact, change, and visibility using the power within you. It is through the astrological impact of astrology that I've been able to create a 7-figure brand, go completely viral, reach 200K months with consistent ritual. And I'm going to break down specifically how you are going to do that in your life without having to sacrifice more time, your identity, and your life purpose. So if you're ready to master making money but need to find your life purpose, this is for you.
Today, we're going to talk about something that is, I feel that not a lot of people talk about, which is the in-between. The in-between when we are being initiated, when we have done all the right steps, when we've checked all the boxes, when we have followed the strategy, whatever it is that we're doing, that should have led to the results, but it's not showing up. And when we have this opportunity, and the reason why I'm speaking about this is because Mercury is going to be retrograding in Cancer, and we're going to be revisiting some themes or some things around that essence of following our dream. And oftentimes we can feel or sense or know that something might be off, or that we might feel, sense, or know that no matter how hard we try, that very thing that we were putting into practice might not be the answer for us anymore. So at the time of this recording, I actually just came off of being 4 days in New York City, actually 5 days in New York City. And one of the main things that I came away with for this mastermind that I'm in is that there are so many people who are pivoting right now. And there's a massive shift in identity. And it's because we're in a fire horse year. It's because we're in a 1 year in numerology, and all of these big transits are shifting, right? Saturn, Neptune, Uranus, all of these big things are shifting. And so there's a new threshold. There's a new dimension that is calling many of us. And so oftentimes we can follow our intuition or take that leap or do all the right things, but then the result isn't showing up. And it doesn't mean that that isn't punishing you. What it's asking you to do is to recalibrate the way that you were moving before. And so one of the biggest things that I've learned over my life is that typically when you ask for something new, or when you try to build something different, or when you're opening up to that level, you might actually not get the results right away. You might actually be shown all the cracks in the foundation. You might actually be shown where you're out of balance with your nervous system. You might actually be shown where you've been putting away your health or pushing away your health and putting it away for another day so that you can get to that, what we think is going to create safety. And so when you have followed every strategy and it's not working, this is an energetic solution. This is the space where you want that level of success, but the way that you scaled success before is no longer working. You actually, and the universe is actually asking you to recalibrate from the inside out in a way that you are going to be unrecognizable on the other side of this. And so ultimately, when you're in that space of waiting, we can often make two decisions.
Legacy builders understand divine timing. While others manifest randomly, you'll know which cosmic windows amplify intentions by 10x. 2026 Ritual Planner, every cosmic money window, eclipse portals, Venus transits, lunar cycles, mapped with manifestation rituals. Same cosmic timing I've used for 7-figure spiritual entrepreneurs. 2026 cosmic windows won't repeat for another 12 plus years. Miss now, wait until 2038. The complete manifestation calendar is only $37. Spiritual entrepreneurs don't leave timing to chance.
The first decision is, nope, I'm going to go back to what I was doing, which never really turns out really great. Or I'm going to allow myself to completely become the mush before the butterfly can emerge. And I always use this story about metamorphosis, right? And one of the conversations that I had over this weekend was about identity and what actually happens through this process. So your identity is shifting. You're shifting on a cellular level. And I always use this story and analogy of the caterpillar moving into the butterfly. And the caterpillar probably doesn't know that it's going to turn into a butterfly. Like maybe it does. I don't know. But it probably eats a bunch and then it gets kind of tired and it makes this little cocoon. It's like, I'm just going to go for a nap, right? I'm just going to go for a nap. The thing is, the caterpillar probably has no idea it's going to turn into complete mush. And in order for the imaginal cells to turn on, the cells that actually turn on to create the structure of the butterfly, the caterpillar has to completely disintegrate and become mush. And if you're identifying with this story at all, I'm going to tell you right now, you're going through an identity rebirth. And that period of waiting, that period of limbo, that period of not knowing, that period that feels so fucking uncomfortable because you don't have control and the things that you thought that were going to work that aren't working anymore, there is a reason for that. And it's because the steps or the things or the clarity or guidance that is going to help you in this next chapter, help these next clients, help your next level of impact, that requires a different level of mastery. That requires a part of you that is coming online that may not or hasn't been fully online, or maybe that you never had the time to actually witness. And this is something that I often see when women are moving from 3D success into something that's calling them even higher. And a lot of the conversations that I had this weekend were really about this fear around being seen. Maybe you've created a certain level of success and now you're being asked to move in a different way. Maybe you have become a master of something and now publicly you're going to be witnessed starting over. And that is one of the most vulnerable but also precious things because we get to be witnessed as human. We get to be witnessed in that in between stage. And this is a journey that I've been on myself. And there's been so many moments over the last 6 to 8 months that I really, really wanted to burn everything down. I really wanted to step away. I wanted to step out. I wanted to run away. I just didn't want to deal with all of these things. And, when you feel that way, when the things that you've built don't really feel home anymore, it's a very confusing space to be. So then you move into that next stage, but even as you move into that next stage, the results aren't fully there. So you're in between these two identities. And one of the biggest things that I see for people is that we try to strategize through it. And that is a esoteric, that is an energetic piece. And your next level of success is going to require you to turn those spiritual woo gifts on. It's going to require you to rewire. It's going to require a level of visibility, of connection, of vulnerability, of a deep ask that maybe you've been protecting yourself from. And this is one of the greatest things is that I think the most intelligent thing about the universe is that it doesn't allow for us to be successful. It doesn't allow for us to be successful without the opportunities for growth. And it's not just a mindset issue. It's not just any like a strategic or steps, like those things are kind of easy to solve. But when you are becoming into a next chapter of your life, into the next trajectory of your life, you have to completely let go. You have to let go and allow yourself to be okay in the in between and not have that validation piece driving you to that next thing. Maybe that revenue is not there yet. Maybe that, jump is taking a little bit more time to scale. Maybe that moment or those challenges or all those ways that the universe is showing you where all those cracks in the foundation are, that's requiring something that is called faith. And faith, you guys have heard me talk about it, that the 7 dimensions of faith is about identity. It's the 7 alchemical planets in your chart, and you are here to master that. The 7 dimensions of faith framework is embedded in my Sona methodology school. And ultimately, when we come in, one of the first planets that we actually work with is Saturn. And Saturn represents this fear around I'm not enough. So, this gap between where you are now and where you're going, and that liminal stage of where everything just has to become mush, that the strategies aren't working, that you're in between, you have to allow it to come from within. And it's one of the most vulnerable and also powerful things because we actually have to surrender the control. And that's what Saturn represents. It represents this need to control, to facilitate a result, to build something. And when we move into, depending on where Saturn is in your chart, and depending on what that sign is and the housing placement and so forth, you will have to learn how to loosen your grip in this area of your chart. And it's got to come from that space because Saturn also rules our, trajectory, our purpose, our legacy. And so when we are coming into this build, when we are in that between stage, your essence it's not about giving up. It's about allowing yourself to rise to the occasion in a way that you never have before and creating that capacity in your nervous system in the very bones of who you are, right? Because also Saturn rules our bones. It's the very infrastructure of who you are that's shifting. And that's why I always tell the story of the imaginal cells turn on only when we fully surrender. Only when those answers that are going to move you into that next level have to come from within. Because it's not going to come from something that you've done before, because this is a threshold that you've never been at. And this is a rise to the occasion and a level of your identity that you even yourself have yet to meet. So if you are in that space, I invite you to come into what is here for me. What is this calling me or asking me to fully let go of? How am I moving in this subliminal space? And how can I fully surrender to allow for that dream, that message, that muse, that next step to find me? That clarity is not coming from your mind. That clarity is not going to come from a strategy. That clarity and allowing for that is actually going to become because you become so undeniable in your energy that it creates something of your own new wealth vortex. And that's when the clients start to come. And that's when the success starts to come. And that's when the visibility starts to come. And you find yourself in the new trajectory.
That's today's spiritual guidance from the seventh dimension. Ready for live transmissions and daily drops on the current transit specifically for you? I've got you. Join my private Telegram channel via the link in the show notes. Remember, trust what you're feeling. Your true identity is already built. Just say yes.